Hey everybody, Raziel here, coming back at you with another Smite God build for the Xbox One, or any platform for that matter. This week we are bringing to the table Fenrir, the Unbound, for patch 3.18 on the consoles. He fills the role for the assassin on the Norse Pantheon, and he is a literal friggin' beast. As you can see right there on the screen, he's a wolf of some sort, and I think according to his lore, brings upon Ragnarok in Norse mythology, which is not a good thing. This video is intended for those just starting out playing Fenrir, those who need a refresher with the god, or those who have had their faces chewed off and then picked up, carried into the enemy tower and or enemy ultimate. And that happens a fair amount, especially early game. He's an early game god, straight up. We'll start out with his abilities, or kit as I call them, then go over his relics and his item build, and then finish off with ability combos and fighting scenarios. If you liked the video, please hit that thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for future Smite content. Also feel free to leave a comment below requesting any future gods I haven't gone over yet, or just say hello for the hell of it. So why don't we get right into those abilities, shall we? Before we get started, I have to go over a little bit of housekeeping that I have for every video here. I play with the Savage layout on the Xbox One, which may look different from the button mapping that you have on your screen. And it also would be different from the PS4 because they have shapes instead of letters, and the PC and the Mac have a different UI altogether. So, as such, from now on, I'll be calling out his abilities as 1, 2, 3, and 4. With the 1 being his first ability all the way to the left, and his 4 being the ultimate all the way to the right. Hopefully, just calling these as numbers instead of the actual potential button mapping will clear up any possible confusion later on in this video. So let's do this. Let's start out with his passive. His passive is called Unbound Runes. It's a buff, and essentially it is a stacking kind of scenario, and you can't see it right now 100%, but you can kind of see a faint little stones there right next to the money there that I have on the lower left. Those will stack or appear every time I hit a god, and you'll see that when I go over his fighting scenario and his combos and everything else. But from every basic attack hit, a rune activates up to 5. And each of his abilities gains a benefit when he has max runes. And when he does the ability, the runes are consumed and he has to restack to 5. Enemy gods that Fenrir kills will fully activate or fully replenish all of his runes again. So you spend your runes, you kill the god, you get the runes back refreshed. Pretty much what that last thing says. His 1 is called Unchained. It's a leap. Fenrir leaps forward, dealing damage to all enemies within the radius when he lands. At full of runes, the leap stuns the enemies, and if the leap hits a god instead of a minion, the cooldown is halved. So that's pretty cool. The cooldown's 15 seconds at any rank, so we'll round up to 8 seconds if he hits a god. That's not too bad. Additionally, it's 335 damage at max rank, plus another 80% of your physical power. That's a pretty good scaling right there, just for a leap. And, you know, what can I say? It will do the stun as well, which can set up for you or your allies as you go through. His second ability, his 2, is Seething Howl. It's a buff upon himself. He rears back and howls, as it says, inspiring himself with a physical power buff and a lifesteal buff. So he gains physical power and he gains lifesteal. Not additional lifesteal. He can have lifesteal without having a lifesteal item, pretty much with this item or ability alone. At full runes, the buff is increased by 50%. So his physical power increase at max rank would be 70. And if you have full runes when you do it, that's an additional 35, so, you know, it'd be 105 physical power. Not too bad. For 6 seconds, that could work out. And the lifesteal would be up to, what is it, 30, so additional 17, you know, which is a little over 50% life steal for 6 seconds. That's not too shabby. That's if you have full runes when you pop this ability. That's not too bad. It's a life steal in his kit. So early game, he can use this as utility and stay in the lane or the jungle longer as need be. His 3 is called Brutalize. This is one of his more iconic abilities. If you've seen Fenrir played before, it's a leap. It's a short kind of leap though. It's not as far or great a distance as his 1, but it's a leap nonetheless. Fenrir pounces to his ground target location. If there was an enemy within the radius, he strikes at them 4 times, dealing damage with each strike while being immune to knockups. At full runes, each strike deals 75% damage to nearby enemies as well. So at no runes, or 4 runes, we'll say, it does single target damage, and it does a lot of damage. At full runes, 5 runes, it's kind of like an AoE scenario. Now this is good for clearing jungles camps, and additionally mid to late game when you're starting to get into team fights as well, and people are starting kind of grouping up unintentionally, etc., etc. So I mean, this is his bread and butter. You know, this is this is his main damage dealer. And early game, this does a lot of damage because it's, you know, 4 hits at, you know, 45 plus, you know, anything else is done to them. Also, the scaling on this is another 50% of your physical power. And then I think when they had Power Pot, and this would just destroy people. But luckily, Power Pot is, you know, reserved for later games, so these gods are not too OP in the beginning like this, and Isis and everything else. So, you know, max rank is 165 damage plus 50% of your physical power, and it's a great ability. You got to be wary of it though. Let me just say this now, and I'll probably hopefully maybe say it again later in the video. Say early game or whatever, the enemy is kind of close to their tower radius, and you start to brutalize them. You will follow them as they go. So if they run back into tower, you're gonna get hit by the tower because you're just following them. I think you can cancel out of it. What's the point of that though? It's just wasted mana, wasted life because you probably took a hit or 2 from the tower itself. Additionally, if they have a Mercury on their team, he has a dash. Your Brutalize will follow him through that dash, etc., etc. So I think any kind of dash it will follow through. A leap will not. I do not believe Fenrir will follow through on the Brutalize, but dashes he will. And then we're gonna bring this to ultimate. Okay, I said I said his Brutalize was the more iconic one. No, it's not. This is Ragnarok itself. It's a single target ability, and upon, you know, quote unquote Ragnarok, Fenrir goes massive in size, becoming immune to CC and moving faster. He bites an enemy god, dealing damage and carrying them away. Hence my, you know, beginning of the video. Biting a CC immune target deals damage, but ends his ultimate. At full runes, his protections double. Okay. He gains protections? Doesn't even say anything about that. Okay. Oh, okay. I got confused by that. At full runes, the extra thing is his protections that he has doubles. It does already. So it does 500 damage at max rank, plus an additional 120 of your physical power. That's a pretty good amount right there, right? At full runes, you know, it doubles. He gets a 50% mover speed, and he carries them for 2 seconds. So you pick them up, and they don't pop purification, you can carry them away. You pick them up, and they pop purification, you immediately drop them and go back to normal size, and your ult is pretty much over. If they pop purification as you're biting them, like right before you bite them to pick them up, you do the damage, and you're immediately normal size again. So there's definitely a way to get out of this, but if you can keep track of the enemies and their purifications, whether they have it or when they last used it, and you know it's down, you can pick them up and you can set up your teammates to unload on them with burst damage or ultimates, or carry them back into your tower, Phoenix, Titan, etc. Even your fountain. It's towards the end of the game, and they're pushing your Titan. You pick one up, you bring them to your fountain, and their fountain will just melt them. So it's a great ability. It's also an ability you can use to get out of situations because it's a purification in itself as well, and it can get you to run away if need be. So that's actually his kit. It's pretty self-explanatory. It does a lot of damage. There's some pretty good scaling, 50% on Brutalize, but Brutalize is just brutal, pun intended, to begin with. And 80% on his one and 120% on his ultimate. I mean, that's pretty damn good. So we'll go over more with these and how to rank them up and everything towards the end of the video. But right now we're actually going to swing back into his item build and his relics and the reasoning behind them. Alright, we're going to be going now over his relics and his item build, which will be primarily for conquest matches, but it can be used on any game mode, arena, joust, siege, etc. Except for maybe assault, because you can't back into the fountain to buy items. You have to die, so you might change up the way you do things, etc. Plus some of those other game modes you may not have a starter item. I say this every video, this item build, these relics that I call out are situational, depending upon what you have for a team comp on your team, what the enemy has for their team, whether you guys are steamrolling, you guys are super ahead, whether you guys are behind and trying to defend phoenixes, etc, etc. So just start out with this build, try it out, see how it works for you, make tweaks as necessary, but this should be a good way to start. Now he's an assassin, he's gonna be jungling most likely, so I'm just gonna go with that. He can be in solo now and then, I believe, but that was more meta in season 2. Season 3, he's pretty much, when he is picked up, it's primarily just for the jungle. So for his starter item, it'd be Bumba's Mask, standard jungler starter item. It gives you the MP5, but it also gives you, damage against jungle camps. It replenishes your health when you deal them, and you don't have to split the gold when you're clearing jungle camps with your teammates, which you should do. Shouldn't solo all the jungle camps. You should try to get your allies in there so you're splitting experience with them in gold and everything, but you're still getting gold as if you're solo. So Bumba's Mask, I mean, it's like, you're not going to need this for Joust or whatever, or Clash, because it's not really, and definitely not Arena, because there's no jungle camps, really. You're going to start with this, probably pick up Boots 1 down here, and then you'll pick up a few pots, health and mana, and then that's how you'll start the match. But you're going to want to pick up Warrior Tabby as your first item, because it gives you that physical power. And he's got the great scaling, about 80% on his one and 120% on his ultimate. 50% is not too shabby either on Brutalize, but that 40 physical power will go towards that scaling and increase his damage, especially early game. Your next item is going to be Jotun's Wrath, because it gives you 40 physical power. It gives you the little extra mana you're going to need, because at this point, when you get this item cleared off, you're definitely going to start getting mana hungry, because you've ranked up your kit accordingly, and it's costing you more mana per use. Plus, it also starts you getting that penetration, which is going to be great against those squishy targets. It's going to be great against those tankier targets as well. And it gives you the 20% cooldown reduction. Cooldown reduction is good on a jungler, because you're initiating or you're getting in early in a team fight. It gives you the ability to get out, have those cooldowns refresh your kit, and get back into the fight. Also, if you find yourself out of position, stuck, those cooldowns will help you escape a lot easier. So Jotun's is what you're going to pick up next. And then the next item after that, which will be Void Shield. Now this is part of the core, I want to say, his core item. This would be the last one per se. More times than not, you're going to get this ability. This is great because it gives you physical power, it gives you physical protection, and it gives you the ability to reduce the enemy's protections by 20, within 55 units. This is Good when you're going against definitely three physicals. Sometimes people go with 4 physicals, so this is definitely a pickup because you get that physical protection, and their physical protections will be lessened as well, so you'll be doing more damage. Now, say your team has more magical, like 3 magical, only 2 physical. You and maybe a solo. I mean, your carries, their is a magical for some reason. Then maybe you forego this. Maybe you go Stonecutting, whatever the hell it's called. I'm gonna pick this up here. Then I'll that other one called. There it is. Stonecutting Sword. I wanted to say shield for some reason. Maybe go with this instead of that, but for the most part, Warrior Tabby, Jotun's Void Shield is what you're gonna want on Fenrir, and most assassins now. I think that's the meta pretty much. And I forgot to do relics, so I'm going to keep going with the item build. Then we're going to go over the relics after that. I know it's not my normal normal method, but we'll pick up the relics after this. So after this is where it gets situational here. More times than not, you can go probably Titan's Bane. You could maybe, if you wanted to put a lifesteal, go here. But I think I'd go Titan's Bane first because he has a lifesteal in his kit, in his 2. So I'd go Titan's Bane because it gives you 30 physical power, which is not a lot compared to other things. But it gives you 33% physical penetration. Now at this point, you're doing a decent amount of penetration. You got a decent amount of power. How much power you got? Let's see. Where are you? 140. That's not bad. But it's not horrible either. And you got penetration. Does it show penetration here? 10. That's not indicative of what the passive on this is showing. And that was a big ass word, and I hope I pronounced it right. So at this point, I probably would pick up a lifesteal item just because that's how my playstyle is. I like the little extra utility to stay in the fight longer, because your 2 is not always going to be up. So you only get it for like 6 seconds, I think it was, and then you gotta wait for the cooldown. Even if with your cooldown reduction, it's still gonna be a fair amount of time. So I'd either go Aussie or go Bloodforge. Bloodforge gives you that 75 physical power, which will scale great with the rest of your kit. And it gives you that shield once you get an enemy kill. Or you can go with the Aussie. It gives you some more penetration, but attack speed. Now I favor the Aussie in this point because his passive requires you to get 5 stacks to really maximize your abilities. So the extra attack speed from Aussie will help you get those those runes fully stacked. So I prefer to go Aussie. If I want another lifesteal, you don't necessarily need it here. You could go with a robe if you want. If you guys need it, I would go probably Mantle of Discord. It's expensive, but it gives you cooldown reduction. You won't be capped out at 40, you'll be at 35. Plus it gives you 60 protections across the board, and that little extra CC to help you get out. You could potentially go into crit. You don't want to go with the Aussie, but I like to go with the Aussie. And for his last item, I'd probably go crit, or you could try to go executioner, which let's just see what that gives you. The more attack speed, gives you physical power, and it shreds their protections. So in conjunction with the void shield and then this, you could potentially do a lot of damage. Or you could just go like maybe in the Wind Demon because it gives you more attack speed and more movement speed for the chase. Or go into Deathbringer and just try to crit the hell out of them. I would try to stay, if I do crit, I'd probably go Wind Demon, or I'd go maybe Kin Size. They got a lot of tankier ones. I'd probably go Kin Size just to get that little extra poke, or the Executioner. I'm just going to put this crit item in here. And so that item build will go with that. So since I somehow had a brain fart, forgot the relics first, we're going to go over that now. More times than not right now, Wrath is what I'm picking up, because it helps you get the clear, the initial, at the beginning of the game you can clear those camps pretty quickly, and get into this lane, the soul lane, quickly to clear that wave and rotate and get the fire minions if possible. if they're CC heavy and you are, you know, they got a Nox, they got a Ymir, they got, you know, people rotating that, you know, Erlang, Shen, etc., and you're afraid, I pick up Purification. But more times than not, Wrath is what I'm going to be picking up now. It helps with, because it helps with the Gold Fury and Fire Giant Secure. I just accidentally stopped recording, and I'm not redoing all that again. So that is the Wrath helps with secure on the Gold Fury and the Fire Giant. That's the main reason I get it. Not so much for clearing camps, but for securing those two objectives, because it could come down to where the enemy team is trying to steal it from you, and it's in Wrath threshold. It will secure that that objective. Next, after that, I'd probably go Purification, because everybody and their sister has CC in this game now. If not Purification, I could go with a Frenzy if I think I need to split push those objectives. If they got healers or some people who can get away, like a Susanoo or I don't know, whoever. Go with the Curse right above that, or even, you know, just get a med. If you want to do Sunder potentially, if you're really good with that. If no one's got a Phantom by now and there's an Odin, you could pick that up as well. But I'd probably go Purification, would most likely be my second relic. So hopefully, sorry for that interruption there, with me accidentally stopping the recording. But next, you know, we're gonna get into the combo builds, the ranking orders, etc., etc. So let's do this. Don't know why I said it that way, but let's do it. So now we've gone over his item build and his relics, and I had, you know, accidentally stop the video recording and everything else. Hopefully we don't have that happen again. We're going to go over his combos, his fighting scenarios, and the ranking order in which to rank up his kit. So, see, he's walking around here. We're going over to Odin Squared, our buddies. Hey guys. We are, you know, we are on all fours. We're big ass dog, wolf thing, you know, fire, everything else like that. So just doing some few auto attacks here. As you can see, my runes have stacked up now over on the left, and see, you know, I'm attacking pretty fast. It's that Aussie's helping out, and then the crits as well. Between the Wind Demon and the Aussie, I'm doing a fair amount of damage in just basic attacks. Okay, and so we're gonna go over this. So I got full runes now. All right. We're gonna do a leap. There's one here, you know, got a good distance. Let's go in here, because I want to show you the difference between this leap and the brutalized distance. So we can probably, you know, we can probably get to these trees, say, just about to those trees. So if we leap on him, this should stun him. Got me stunned, see, and then like that. So now, crap, like that. That's just two. I'm glowing. You can see I've got that lifesteal potential and his damage, but I really just want to clear the runes there. So now I'm going to leap without the runes, and you're going to see that he's not stunned. So that's pretty much it. So now I'm going to go over his two again. I'm going to just see, oh, yep, see I'm doing that much more damage now compared to what I was just a moment ago. That's great. And that's, you know, it's not bad to keep popping that and refreshing it during the team fight, especially early game, because you're not going to have that Aussie. If you feel like you need that Aussie, you could build it before Titan's Bane, but Titan's Bane will do that much more damage. Next we're going to go into Brutalize. And as you can see, Brutalize, from where I was standing before, is probably about half the distance of that leap. But, you know, it's not intended to be a leap, it's just just giving you that little bit of distance for the Brutalize. Now, you can't really see it here. We're actually going to go to a minion camp. Or, it's not a minion camp, but, go over here. Normally, if I didn't have my runes, I'd be, I wouldn't be able to hit all three of these. But now that I have my full runes, it's going to do damage to all three of these. So let's just jump. 1, 2, 3. As you can see, I killed that for just and giggles. I cleared that jungle camp. That's why it's prudent to have full runes before you use Brutalize, especially when you're in the jungle. because that will help you clear that. Otherwise it's just do single damage and not do anything. So that's that. And so pretty much he doesn't really have any combos with his 1, 3, and 1, 2, and 3. You're gonna use one or the other because of his passive. You need the full runes to get the what's the word I'm looking for? The most bang for his buck, to maximize the effect of his abilities. So you're either gonna, walk up to him and then brutalize, or you're gonna walk up to them and hit up 2, which usually you don't need the full stacks, but it helps. And then, leap away or leap for the chase. Or, that's that. Say you walk up to him, you brutalize, you pop your 2 as soon as you can, to replenish. They try to run away, and then you chase them down, and then hit them a few more times, and then by that time, brutalize or something else is back up. Now the only combo he really has is full runes 1 to 4, because his ultimate sometimes can be a bitch to land. I don't know why. It seems like now when I'm in my ultimate, I'm usually this close, trying to look down to see how close I am. I'll say if I was in my ultimate, and I feel like I am like right here, like on his crotch, biting, nyan 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 nyan, like Kobayashi, and they're not getting picked up, but I just don't understand why. So the only combo that you should really have is full runes 1 into a leap, because it stuns them and it gives you the ability to pick them up. So I'm going to pick them up and I'm going to bring them over there. So leap, stun, ult, pick up, bring them back right there. And look, he's stuck there. Haha, bitch. So he's never going back. He's forever my bitch. And then you can do that, brutalize and everything else. So that's the only combo he really has. Otherwise, you're just gonna walk up and brutalize. And brutalize, you have that leap to brutalize, so you don't have to walk up right next to him. Just get close enough to brutalize him. You can even potentially brutalize him over the wall. Let's see. Okay, let me hit this guy a few more times. He's stuck right there. Let's see. Can I hit? Yep, see, it goes through walls, so it's that kind of leap. So, you can try to be sneaky in the jungle and gank him that way. So that's the only combo is full runes 1, 4. Otherwise, brutalize by itself, restack your runes, or 1 or 2. So that there is no real combos. In terms of how to rank up his kit, I would go brutalize. It's 3 every time you get the ability to rank that up, because that is his damage dealer. For early game, first ability, his 3, then his 1, then his 2. Then brutalize every time his ult pops up, you do that. If you're not going to use the ult that much, if your ult is not really going for the kill but just for the setup, I would leave ult alone, just max out brutalize, and then throw some into the ult or the leap. And depending on your play style, you can go with the leap or the 1 or the 2 after brutalize first priority. If you want to prioritize his lifesteal ability and everything else, go with his 2. If you want to potentially make sure you chase him down with the leap, etc., I'd go with his 1. It's your play style. 3 is the only one I recommend strongly to max rank first. After that, it's up to you. It's up to your play style. 1 or 2, then the ultimate as it goes. I hope this video helped you guys out. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope my technical difficulties weren't too distracting. And I hope to see you guys in the next one. Leave a comment below for any future gods you want to see. Hit that thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. Also, I have made a clan in this on Xbox One. We are Victis. I'll put the name down below. And we have the Manticore as the emblem. And feel free, it's open. come on, join on in. We're trying to get more conquest players and everything else, maybe some more ranked players and whatnot. So that's about that. I will hopefully see you guys in the next one, and peace.